Drive-By Movies here. Welcome to Direct to Dumpster. My name's Blaise.
And I'm James.
This week, we're talking Under the Silver Lake. This is a brand new movie.
Come on in!
It just got released on VOD a couple weeks ago. Came out in theaters, a couple of them here in LA, which is, actually pretty good since it's Under the Silver Lake.
Coincidentally, the Los Feliz, which is close to Silver Lake. That was definitely intentional. Yeah,
definitely. And this is David Robert Mitchell's third film. I think both of us have seen all three of his movies.
Yes,
so
you showed me both of them, actually.
Yeah, his first film was Myth of the American Sleepover. Then It Follows, which is I would say a pretty beloved movie.
Yeah.
And now Under the Silver Lake, which is a pretty maligned movie.
Yeah.
I think it's got pretty negative reviews in the press.
Like It Follows, I feel like it's the opposite effect where it overall got great reviews, but there's a lot of mainstream audiences who hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Versus this one, mainstream audiences just fucking hate this movie, Under the Silver Lake. But there are a lot of people who are also defending it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same kind of reaction, but just opposite ended. But I find them very similar, though, in a way.
In a way, it's like, the polar... also it's the polar opposite film. First off, just want to mention that David Robert Mitchell, as a director, he writes his own scripts, he directs his own movies, but the main thing is none of his movies are the same. His first movie is a mumblecore movie.
Do you want to swim over there?
What happens over there?
We talk.
I would say it's honestly like the grand opus of mumblecore movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that's so good and doesn't have any of the mumblecore
Feels a lot more
actors in it.
cohesive as a plot, even though it's multiple different stories, though it's and they don't necessarily come together. It just each one has like a beginning, middle, and end, even though they're short stories within a feature-length film, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. And then It Follows is a horror movie, which is totally different than anything he's done before. And now this is his. What I would say, I kind of want to compare it to another film that was actually very popular in the media, won a couple of Oscars. I would say that this is his La La Land.
Oh yeah.
I don't mean that in a way that it's very similar to La La Land. I don't feel like it totally is, but I feel like it's his homage.
It's his love letter.
It's his love letter to 50s, noir type movies, but also at the same time being something that I've heard a term that people have called it a stone noir, which is like a stoner noir movie similar to like Big Lebowski, or, The Long Goodbye, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is his love letter, both those two genres or styles of movies.
I did get like an Inherent Vice vibe just from like the mystery aspect from a buffoon like character, essentially.
Yeah.
Like Inherent Vice, it's also a character that you don't really care for and you don't really like and stuff. Everyone associates the protagonist as someone you have to like and stuff. And we were having a conversation about it, and just like I'd say Andrew Garfield's character right away is just like you're like, what the fuck? Like a peeping Tom is the guy we're gonna be following for the whole movie.
Yeah. And I think something to bring up there, just to like kind of heed the audience, is like, if nowadays movies are reviewed solely on like how likable the protagonist is. You're spending 90 minutes, and in this case you're spending 2.5 hours with this character, and if you don't like the protagonist, therefore you dislike the movie, which I don't think should be. I don't think that's correct. I think that's actually that's like a misjudgment on any critic's part. You shouldn't be able to just immediately shut down a movie or immediately say you don't like it just because the main protagonist maybe not be the most likable character, or you just assume that the director likes this character and designed this character to be enjoyed by audiences, which I definitely don't feel like that is the case for this movie. I think that Andrew Garfield, we had talked about it earlier, Andrew Garfield is very unlikable in this movie, and I don't feel like for once as an audience member I sided with him or thought I thought he was a good guy. I think he's a piece of shit. I think he's a slacker. I think he's a lowlife. I don't feel like he was cool.
He's going, or he deserves everything he's going through.
Yeah, he definitely deserves everything he's going through. And he's a dreamer. He's an escapist. I think that those aspects are very interesting to look at, but I don't think that he's somebody that I would like to emulate upon myself. I would like to be like that character. No, I don't think anyone as an audience member should see Andrew Garfield and hear, Andrew Garfield's a movie star, but this character that he's playing, it's a character that I don't think anybody should want to be like.
Right, yeah. I mean, you get right away with his character that he's very apathetic from having sex and he's paying attention to the news. So,
tennis.
Or tennis also, but then it goes in the news and he gets way more invested in the news than the girl he's having sex with. But overall with the plot of this movie, I mean, it's interesting. Like it is straight up noir overall, I'd say. Andrew Garfield is just overall pretty much just a bum. You don't really know what his job is. He just lives in Silver Lake, and if you're in LA, Silver Lake's not a cheap area and stuff. It's one of the biggest up and coming rising neighborhoods where all the hipsters want to be at and stuff. And so he can't afford rent. He doesn't do anything about that. Also, you think the movie's going to be he's like slightly scrambling, doesn't give a fuck. He just spies on his neighbors all day and has sex with neighbors also, and just hangs out with friends, spends all his money on alcohol and crackers. And then one day, though, he starts spying on a neighbor that he has a huge attraction to, played by Riley Keough. Might recognize her from Mad Max. She's also in a ton of other movies as well. But they have a nice night together where they just like hang out, get stoned, and then the next day she just moves out and disappears, and just things spiral from there, where he's just trying to figure out, why did she leave? Like, you know, we liked each other.
Who moves out in the middle of the night?
Nothing strange about it. She wanted to leave. How does that not make sense?
I don't understand why she didn't tell me.
Maybe she didn't like you. Maybe she knows you're poor and haven't paid your rent.
And he starts to see all these symbols throughout the movie, and we can honestly like go into crazy debates and like try to figure out what all these metaphors and like things like mean throughout the movie, like all this mise en scène that like takes place within this film. But honestly, I feel like, how do you feel about like that stuff?
I mean, when it comes to like, there are a ton of metaphors in this movie, and some are very, very on the nose to where critics and reviewers have actually taken those and been like, this is bullshit, this is in your face. But then there are some that are so far hidden within the film. Like there's literally Morse code within the film in multiple moments. People have been picking it apart on the internet and like been like, do the fireworks sounds create their own Morse code, and then they decode it and it actually says something? I don't know if that is something. I don't know if that isn't, but I think that actually says something very interesting that the film itself talks about, like looking for symbolism within things and how much of it means anything or how much of it means absolutely nothing, or how much of it will drive you crazy in the process of looking for it.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there, but I don't feel like that makes the film better. I don't feel like it makes it worse.
Right.
To me, it makes it interesting.
Right, yeah.
But that's like from an outsider perspective. But I feel like a lot of critics have lambasted this film. We can go into that in a little bit. But first off, I just want to mention, like, there is a community out there like looking through this film very deeply. I wouldn't say like I'm a part of it, but I think that that's really cool. So there is like an Under the Silver like Reddit. They've been looking through a lot of stuff. It is really fun to thumb around and look at, oh wow, look, like they found what this is crazy. And like maybe some of that stuff is what was in David Robert Mitchell's mind when he made this film, and maybe some of it is something that somebody
people are
else
overlooking.
Yeah, but I mean, like all art, I'm not saying like, oh, this is like the greatest art film or anything, but like all art, you go to the museum, you go look at a painting, you start to wonder like, what does this actually mean? You look for symbolism within it. I think all art does that.
Yeah.
Like all art should do that. If it doesn't,
you're
just wondering what, you know, the time stone does.
You'll find yourself going down a deep rabbit hole looking at this movie, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that's overall what the plot was. I mean, literally, I said I ended with him just trying to find what happened to this girl, and that's literally what the rest of the movie is. It goes deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, but honestly, you just kind of see where it's going to kind of figure out where it's going, because there's a lot we can debate about it, but that's the plot of the movie, and that's the movie that we have, I'd say.
And something that you might be wondering watching this, you're probably wondering, okay, you guys usually do really shitty movies on direct to dumpster. Why are you guys doing this? We're not talking about like whether this movie's like good or bad at this moment, but we are talking about how this was literally dumped in the dumpster by A24.
Right.
This film was originally supposed to come out at last June.
Yeah.
It went to South by Southwest. I think it was lambasted there. Went to Cannes, and I'm pretty sure it was also lambasted there. A24 put on the shelf, all right, we're going to make some changes. We're going to fix it. It's going to come out in December. You know, for the Academy Awards was kind of like, oh, wow, they're really pushing it that far. You know, everyone was really hyped for this movie because it's David Robert Mitchell's third film. You know, everyone loves it, follows. It is like a pretty cult movie. Yeah. And then it kind of disappears. It leaks online somewhere around October. The whole film, I wasn't aware of that, actually. The whole film was like leaked online because it went out on Blu-ray in like the UK or something.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Then the film kind of misses its December date. The trailers start disappearing. Okay, what's going on? Is this just kind of one of those weird things that's going on in the film?
Yeah.
You know, like in the film's world, like it starts disappearing itself. Then it's released in 2 theaters in Los Angeles. It comes out on video on demand a week or 2 later, and it's the same exact copy of the film that was leaked previously the year, the same exact copy that premiered at Cannes. What's going on?
Right, yeah.
Why is no one talking about it? Is it just because the film's bad? I mean, I don't think it's that bad of a film. I don't think it's made for mainstream audiences whatsoever. And I think that that's probably really what happened here.
Yeah. I think they didn't expect this kind of movie. They're just like, oh, we love It Follows. Do whatever you want with this and stuff. Or they bought it just without thinking too much into it. But it's definitely like should have started off with a small release, like 2 theaters, open a little bit wider, maybe like a dozen theaters. And it probably would have kept doing well traction-wise that way. It's definitely made for a movie for people who seek out these type of movies. A24 does put their movies out in theaters, and it pisses off a lot of theaters. We saw it with It Comes at Night and stuff. Just where like they're mismarketed or misadvertised. A lot of people still fucking hate Hereditary. A lot of people would have hated this movie if it did get a wide release.
And I think if this film was released, you know, wide mainstream, like people would constantly call this film overindulgent. It's the most pretentious film to ever be released. And I mean, I don't know. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I don't believe that that's true. I enjoyed this movie for the most part. I don't think it belongs in a dumpster. I don't know if it needed a wide theatrical release. Maybe if they didn't totally pull off the gas and then kind of like they kind of showed their bluff. Like, okay, we don't believe in this film whatsoever. It felt like A24 totally let off the gas. And I think a lot of the opinions of people were based on that. Okay, you know, there's all these like bad reviews out. Like from not trusting the company, not trusting the distribution. I don't think it deserves to be where it's at in the dumpster. But I think, you know, in maybe 5 years,
it'll get a slap in the face, really. Yeah,
it really is. And I think it'll get dug up out of there. I don't know if like, I recommend people checking it out. Honestly, like I think it's pretty good. I think there's a lot to look at, but that might not be for you. So definitely go into it. I think if you're a big like film buff, might actually really enjoy this movie.
Yeah. I'm really curious to hear what people like think about this movie as well too. It's definitely not for everyone. Like I'm still on the fence on whether like I enjoyed it. I know that I was loving the first half. It is a little too long, I'd say at times, but it's a movie that I think needs to be taken out of the dumpster because I want to revisit it. I know that I enjoyed it enough to where I want to revisit it and see like where I'm at, like maybe like a few months down the line, like try to revisit it and see what I think again ahead of time. But there was a lot of stuff that I liked about it overall, and I definitely like still recommend it for a very specific audience. And it is just people who just seek out these type of noir films that are really quirky, and it's very dark humor-esque. And there's a lot of creepy moments too as well, which I really enjoyed. There's a lot going on in this movie. It's not for everyone, but I highly enjoyed it though.
Definitely. And I recommend if you check it out, or if you've already seen, you found this video, you stumbled upon it, let us know what you think about the movie. I'd like to get maybe a conversation started because I mean, I want to see what other people think about this movie. I don't want to just read all these critics' reviews saying like, oh, you know, this is fucking pretentious bullshit. That's really easy to say. You know, that's easy to say about anything.
Maybe there are people out there who are more important than us, more powerful, communicating things in the world that are meant for only them and not for us. Oh, you think that's weird?
A little.
Under the Silver Lake.
So anyways, guys, that's going to be it for Direct to Dumpster this week. Drive By Movies here. Subscribe and click that bell notification. Get our latest videos right in your inbox. This is Under the Silver Lake review on Direct to Dumpster. See you guys next week.